This conference will now be recorded.
All right, this is Josh from Straightedge, who's been how long you've been there currently, Josh? It's been
Uh, three months here, but
and then
yeah, the
previously you
plat.
worked with Ryan
Yeah, I worked with Ryan, and then I implemented the Apollo platform that I'm going to be showing here. So
in both places.
in both places, yes, yeah. I loved it so much. And then here I did a little bit more in-depth research as to what I thought the best platform would be for lead generation and our needs there. And I
Mhm.
compared it with a lot of other different things, like Rocket Reach, which I know is one that you like to use.
Mhm.
And then there was a few other ones that I was looking at, like Zoom Info, which is wildly expensive.
Mhm.
And then a couple other ones that are similar, like the Hoover's platform.
Mhm.
Um, so I was looking at a lot of those different ones. I signed up for all the trials where they give you like a week to just use it, and I
Mhm.
searched the same parameters for the same market, and then I judged it based on, okay, how many contacts did it give me? How many of those contacts had emails? So trying to figure out which one gave me the information that I wanted and which one had all the information that I would need for the
So
markets that I was
just so
looking
people
into.
know, your role at Straightedge is basically full-time prospecting. You work remote from Chicago, so you're basically
True.
doing almost like an inside sales job currently.
Yeah, so I'm an inside sales representative, so I'm building out our lists and then I'm calling on that list through different means. Um, and Apollo allows me to build that list very easily and
Mhm.
quickly and get phone numbers and emails for decision makers.
And
And
remind me too, because I had heard about this previously when Ryan was using it, and
mhm.
I thought at the time that it was very expensive, but you were telling me that that was a fallacious assumption on my part.
So they've changed the pricing model for the platform, so it's a
Mhm.
little bit different. They give you a few different options to choose what kind of license you want.
Mhm.
And they lock a couple of the features down with that.
Mhm.
However, we ended up going with the Pro license, which is the third tier up from the bottom, because it gives you basically more exports than you could ever ask for. And for some reason, they decided to lock it down. Like um, with the first license, they only allow you to select, I think, about 15 contacts at a time and
Mhm.
export around like 50. With the second license, they let you select like 25 and you get like 100 exports. Okay,
Mhm.
so I'm like, that's ridiculous. With the pro
Yeah.
license, they give you can select up to 1,000 contacts at a time
Wow.
and export up to 10,000 contacts per
Oh,
month.
okay.
Um, and so I mean, I wish there was an in between, and I tried talking with them, and I'm like, "Hey, can you piecemeal this? I just want to. I don't need all the extra features that come with Pro. I just want to be able to export this many and select this many." They weren't working with me, so but the pricing was still fine. So the Pro license, it is $100 per user per
That's
month.
it.
Yeah, for unlimited, not unlimited. You get like
Wow.
10,000 exports, right? So there's a ton.
Yeah.
Um, and you can get mobile numbers for some. You can get personal emails, company emails, tons of different information, all on a contact, which I can delve into in a minute here.
Okay.
But basically, it does two things really, really well. Um, and so one is the prospecting piece of it where you build out, or a list generation. So you build out a list of a market that you want. Like, let's
Mhm.
say I wanted to find, all the office managers in San Antonio law firms. Well,
Mhm.
I can search those companies. I can set the parameters between 15 and 25 people for the size of the company. I can, yeah, and I can go and grab those in mass and
Mhm.
export them. The other thing that Apollo does that we're not currently using at Straightedge, because we have that in contact science, is the emailing and the emailing function.
Mhm.
So you can build out different email campaigns and set up sequences that will be somewhat automated for all the contacts that you just grabbed off a list. So the
Mhm.
list that I was just mentioning, like if I wanted to grab all those office managers, I can now decide to put them all in an automated sequence that will send them an email, um, at a certain time, it will, wait a couple of weeks, send them another email. If they respond to it, if there's some sort of trigger that they meet from that email, it can then prompt me to go ahead and call them. I can keep track of my calls in there too. So it's not just the prospecting piece of it, but you can actually action on that, start emailing and calling
Cool.
as well. And it links up with, I know HubSpot and Salesforce.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they've added any other pieces to that or any other integrations there, but what I'm using it for now is building that list and exporting it and then importing it into our other
Cool.
platform. So, yeah,
And
there's a lot of
you
benefits.
found the quality of the information to be quite high as well?
Yes, yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
you can make sure that the contacts that you're selecting are verified emails,
Mm-hmm.
or you can decide, okay, I want to let some guest emails in there, and then you can select what percentage they think it's accurate. So I want a guest email, like if I want an email that's been guessed, I can select up to 85% confidence. I can go down to 50% confidence, or just 0%, but they put something there for you to try.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can just go with and say I don't want any guest emails. I only want the verified. So the information I found to be pretty accurate. The only thing is that I think it has a problem with is that sometimes if people have retired or you know maybe changed jobs and they didn't themselves update that information, I
Mm-hmm.
sometimes get some contacts in there that are old. So I
Mm-hmm.
grabbed a bulk of contacts. I called on it. I get on the line and I ask for John Doe, right? And they say, "Oh, hey, John Doe hasn't worked here for the past year." Um, and I counter that with, "Oh, it's been a while since I've called. Can I ask who's taken over his role?" So
Yeah.
it gets me a phone number still, and it gets me in the door. And at least I ask for a name in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't run into that issue often, but I'd say it might be, I don't know, 5 to 10% of the time, depending on the list.
That's okay. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Um,
That's pretty high quality. I mean,
but I can work around that pretty easily. Um,
can I ask you
and
one other
yeah,
question? Is
mhm.
the website you go to, is it just apollo.com or what's the
It's a apollo.io is
.io? Okay.
the page. Yes, so it's a web application there.
Okay.
Um, and so if you want me to delve into the platform a little
Yeah,
bit to kind of
please.
show you what I was talking about, I can do
Yeah.
that. So. Um, Right here, this is just the main page that I usually go to. If I was using Apollo for all the other features that I mentioned, that's what
Mm-hmm.
we were looking at here. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
sending out emails, if I'm calling using Apollo, and I can't speak on that too much. I can speak on the emailing a little bit because I've done that for
Mm-hmm.
Ryan. Um, but like I said, the strongest aspect of it, I think, is its ability to find the right
Read
contact.
list.
So
Perfect.
under the search feature at the top here, there's a couple of different tabs. There's people, companies, lists, and save searches. So a list will be contacts that I've decided to save onto the platform um, after I've searched them up with the certain parameters. Save searches is if I set some parameters, but I didn't add anyone yet to a saved list, but it'll keep the search parameters. And then I'm either searching for people or companies. I start with companies
Mm-hmm.
because I want to see how many companies are out there for a certain market and then try and find the people afterwards. Um, is there a specific market that you want me to look into, or can I just kind of?
I just show San
Yeah,
Antonio
cool.
law firms.
I'll go off of the list that I was kind of just talking about.
Yeah.
So account headquarters. So I'll go ahead and type in San Antonio here. And then, so all right, 40,000 companies in San Antonio. I'm not looking at every single one. Our vertical right is between 15 and I'd say around 15 and 200. I'd say is the most accurate that I can choose from these options here. So I'm going to go ahead and choose between the 11 and 20, and then everything in between the 101 and 200. So I've chosen that down to a little over 9,000 companies. And then now the industry. So I'm going to type in law practice. Also legal services. So sometimes they
Yeah.
spread them out a little bit between very specific parameters there. So I'm just going to grab both of those. And then after that, so okay, now I have 105 law firms in the market that I want right here.
Mhm.
And if someone asks me, hey, I just want a list of all the companies with the phone numbers for those companies, I can just grab them right here. I go at the top, there's a checkbox, click select all,
Mhm.
and I can go ahead and export that onto an Excel sheet that will have all these companies and all the information that this platform has. So the industry, the location, the amount of staff, phone numbers. So
But
that's something I can grab.
you wouldn't have anybody's name at that.
No, but I'm going to get to that in a minute. So this is if
Okay.
you just wanted the companies. So let's say someone said, hey, I need a marketing list of the companies we're targeting, just the
Mhm.
companies, right? So I can grab it from this. Um, and then there's another cool feature that I haven't used super often, and I can't speak on the accuracy of it, but I can go into technologies and type in, okay, I want an office that uses oath, actually that's the wrong one. Let's see. Exchange. Right, never mind. Ignore that.
Okay.
Um, but if there's specific platforms that um, your target market often uses, or if you have a bunch of clients that are using a specific technology, you can type it in here and it will find some of them for you. Again, I can't speak on the accuracy of that because I haven't used it as much.
Okay. Cool.
Or, they have public revenue information, they have, funding rounds. If you're looking for companies that are posting a specific job and you're a recruiter, all right, well, there you can do that. Anyway, so I stop here. So I have my parameters set. And if I wanted to save this to go back to later, at the top, I can save the search,
Mhm.
give it a name, and just save it. And then so it'll come up with all these companies, including new ones that it has identified in that market. But now I want to
Okay.
search for people. So at the top, I'm going to go to select all. And there's also a tab here called find people. So I'm going to do that. So now it's showing me all the people that it has identified in that from those companies. And so I have 1.4 thousand people from all those companies. And we're going to do a similar thing that I did with the companies here. Um, and I'm gonna search for these
Title.
employees. So I'll go up to the top here and bring down the job titles. So if I want to search for owners, I can search for only owners, founders, C-suite, partner, vice president, head, director. You can do the same for all those different titles.
Mhm.
Um, so because Apollo pulls from publicly available information, it sometimes does not have certain positions, information for people in certain positions available.
Mhm.
So you kind of have to work around it and figure out who the best contact is depending on what you're looking for. So I'm just going to first just see, all right, I'm going to pick owners. I'll grab the one founder it's identified, C-suite. I'll grab partners, right, because they'd have decision-making power at their firms, vice presidents. I'll do directors. Okay. So now I have 190 different names from the 100 or so companies that I originally pulled into here.
Mhm.
Um, the tricky part is making sure that you get a contact for every company. Um, so if I go into select, so I knew that I had a little over 100 contacts that I had, 100 companies that I pulled over here. And I want one person from each company that I'm going to target initially. So if I hit that and apply, now it's selecting one person from each company. So I have 56 names. Okay, so that leaves about 40 or so names in companies that I don't have a contact for.
Mhm.
Um, so when I run into a situation like that, you have to get a little bit creative when you're searching. Um, and so this right here, if I type in office manager, it's going to try and pull an office manager from the things that I have selected here already.
Okay, that's what it's going to ask.
So if I run into a situation where I can't identify a good contact by just clicking these boxes here, I'm going to enter them manually.
Mhm.
So I'm going to search for, all right, CEOs, CFOs, CTOs, CIOs, COOs. All right. Okay. And now I'm going to search for partner. I'm going to grab owner, founder. So just searching all the keywords that I pretty much can. Office manager, office administrators. And it should come up with a few more names here as well. I'll also grab.
Try practice manager.
Yeah. That didn't add any extra. Sometimes it pulls like the words separately. So
the Association of Legal Administrators. I'm trying to think of who the chief administrative officer. See if that adds
okay.
in. Just curious.
Well, if I just searched administrator, it'll grab everyone with that in their title too. All right. So now I have 200. What?
So we now have 200, and is it still doing the thing where out of those titles it's selecting one?
So I'm going to go ahead and do that again. So I'll go up to the top here, selecting one from all of these, and I'll apply. All right, so we have 62 names now. So like I said, sometimes it doesn't have the information that's all there. And what I'll do in that scenario is I'll just pull the companies and fill in the blanks. But 62 names out of the 100 that we just look for, that can build a pretty good list, especially for a single city here.
Josh, too, I think the starting number is good, actually. The fact that you have identified 100 companies in San Antonio that fit the parameters tells you it's good coverage. This is kind of an added bonus that if it, for some percentage of those, which it's feeling like in this case is half, it's starting out with pretty good quality information for half of them. But still, that just tells you got to scrub the other half. Not scrub, but you got to.
So it makes it a little bit easier for you when you're prospecting. So instead of grabbing the companies and looking for the names, you just get the names right away. At this point, and I'm not going to go through this whole process because I already have a lot of these contacts. I would go ahead and export. So I'll export it as a CSV, and I can decide to export only contacts with verified emails. And then I would hit confirm. It'll take about a couple of minutes, and then it'll send me an email with that CSV file. And it's pretty standard. They're really clean. And I'd say there was no problem when we, at Entara, when we uploaded those to HubSpot, and there's no problem here uploading them to Contact Science. They have lots of information on them. And from that point, like they're saved here. I know I've touched them there. So if I go and search that again, I'm not going to go and grab the same contacts the second time around. And so that's the way that I find decision makers build out a list really quickly and call them. The other part of the platform that I was telling you about is the sequences. So if I decided that I wanted to start contacting these people and email them all right now, I go to sequence, add to sequence. I don't have any set up, so I can't really go through that process here. But sequencing, it's fairly easy to build. You just make an email template and you select how many emails you want to send, when you want them to send, and you can add in automated triggers. So if they look at the email, you can have Apollo prompt you to call them. Or you can have Apollo to prompt you to send them a personalized email. And I know with a pro license too, Apollo has a dialer. So if you want this to be your all-in-one platform for grabbing lists, emailing, and calling, it can be. It's just right now with what we have, it's more efficient to export them into our other platform that's already organized and set up. So that's pretty much it for adding contacts.
Yeah, can I ask you to do another search just out of curiosity for co-managed?
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious what coverage you have, right? It could be beyond San Antonio too. So I'm just curious about within your market, how many valid kind of co-marketing or I've said co-managed opportunities there are. So it would be, let me just give you the search criteria if you don't mind.
Okay. Do you want me to start in companies?
Yes. Start in companies.
Okay. Here, all right.
I think we want to, is there so the number of employees will be 100 to 250.
Okay. I think I'd have to put, I'd have to add 200 to 501 That's one of the annoying pieces.
Let's just leave it at the smaller one. I'm just curious what the addressable market is for you guys.
Yeah.
And is there a field for you only want to deal with like headquarter companies instead of subsidiaries or anything like that?
No. There's no function to search that way. So if there's a company underneath a shell or that's privately owned by a larger company, they would just show up as a different company. I can't just search by that. And then regions. What else should I
think
search?
you would add Corpus, San Antonio.
I'll just add, yeah.
Are there and like up where Tracy lives, is that a different county or something? Like how could you?
It'll pull people around there. Austin, that's another one. And then Houston.
No kind of oversight. I was just curious, what's this total size of that one?
All right, so just companies in all of these markets between 101 to 200 people, 4,000 companies. Granted, I'm not searching by verticals, so if I go and add all the industries that we search, so here, I'll just go.
Co-managed can be almost anything, but just add your core ones: medical, law, oil and gas. Put manufacturing into, I think, and construction.
Manufacturing is a little bit weirder because they break it down into like very niche. So electrical, electronic manufacturing, railroad manufacturing. I think materials is another one that they use. Yeah, building materials.
That's good. Okay.
So between 101 to 200 within these parameters, there's 291 total companies that it is found there.
That's interesting.
However, right, like I said, we were searching.
Yeah, it could go
more into those. So if I do that, all right, 3.8 thousand companies now. That are under here. You'll see though, so you can tell right away if you're looking at like a company that's obviously owned by a conglomerate, right? And it'll pull up some of those. If I'm exporting in mass, it's sometimes hard to identify all of them. But when I'm going through and I'm calling, or I look at email responses, at that point I'm like, oh yeah, this made it through the cracks. I'm just going to get rid of that. I could scrub a list of a couple hundred contacts to pull all of those out, but it's a better use of my time if I just export them all, start contacting, and when I come across it, that's when I remove it.
I'm with you.
So yeah, lots of companies here, and I could do the same thing and right now bring them over to people and just do a huge pull of a massive list that I could start calling on. So if you don't have, like, if there's a company that's smaller and doesn't have a list and you just want something to start calling, and you could do that. You could just pull a giant list right from that. Like in here, I'll just do an example here. So I think the maximum I can select with this, let's see, it might be up to 10,000 if I'm not mistaken. Here, select all.
Don't waste
nope, 1,000. So I can only select up to 1,000 with this one. That's the one annoying part, but more often than not, I'm not pulling any more than 1,000 at a time. So it's going to pull the 1,000 first contacts, and I could go back through and do this again and pull the next 1,000 and the next. But right now, let's just look at the first 1,000 here, and I'll find in people. So it's something like this. Okay, I'm going to go and find owners, founders, C-suite, partners, vice presidents, directors. It's going to be a little bit harder to scrub a list like this, right? Because it's so massive. But if I wanted to just do this, okay, one per, and I'll select 1,000 people. How many I get here? And it's thinking. All right, 890 people out of the 1,000 companies that I had selected.
That's good.
So it depends on the market, really, when you're looking for different contacts too. Sometimes I'd say it can be around 50, 60%. Other times it's around 70, 80. It's never 100%, but I've never been in a situation when searching for a list with this that it's, abysmally low. I always have a good amount to start with and then to scrub after. But yeah, this is the strength of the platform in my mind, just being able to pull these giant lists and start calling on them with really solid information. However, there's another side to it, because I know a lot of people like to use LinkedIn strategies for marketing and identifying contacts, and Apollo actually works with LinkedIn pretty seamlessly. So regular LinkedIn and
Navigator.
a Navigator, yeah. And I'm happy to show you that if
Please.
there's nothing else here. Actually, there was one more thing I did want to show you. So another thing. So let's say I get a list from, we join the San Antonio Bar Association, right? And they provide us with a list of names, but it doesn't have phone numbers, but we have domains and names. Okay, so I can take that Excel sheet. I can go over to enrichment, CSV enrichment. I can select enrich people, and it'll pull information out of Apollo and put it on that Excel sheet. So it'll give me their phone numbers. Or I can do it with companies. So let's say I have a company name and a domain, but I want a corporate number and some other information. I can do the same thing there, and I can pull it out. Or you can take that list and upload it directly into Apollo if your end intention is to keep it there and use it.
You know what? It might be a good idea for you to look into too, is because a lot of people, you can get the list of all the people who got PPP money as a spreadsheet.
Yeah. I've heard people have found a lot of success with that, so that is something that's been on my mind to try and see if I can enrich that list, because it's
list.
super. Yeah, because the nice thing is too. So if you get a list from some sort of third party subsidiary, sometimes the names of the companies are abbreviated, or there's hyphenations or certain grammatical characters in there that may be different from how the company officially has its name put out there. But with the PPP loans, right, that's probably going to be the most official name that they use, and once you enrich that list, there shouldn't be any problem finding those names. So that's a good one. So when you're enriching these lists, you need like 2 points of information, so company name and a domain, or like a company name and a LinkedIn domain, and then it'll give you the rest. But that's another thing I've been using this for as well, is enriching those lists that we get from some of those outside partners. So, all right. So here I'll show the other piece of this. So here on my LinkedIn, I can just be browsing and come across a name, right? Here, I'll just use Mike for an example, since he popped up right here. So Mike. So if I want to get more information about Mike, so I'll click right here, and then I'm just realizing that I don't have the Apollo tool here. 1 second. Chrome extension. Here we go.
Oh, okay. It's a Chrome. Yeah.
I just have to download it real quick, but all right, here we go.
Doug gave you a good computer.
What?
You got a very fast computer, actually.
Yeah, I'm using a different one since my work laptop is having some difficulties, but I spend too much on computers, I'll tell you that.
All right, so now we got Mike, and you got your Chrome extension. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, it's just going to take a second to get it all working here. Does it want me to take the tour? Why does it want me to do this right now? Okay. Well, now it seems to be working after it.
Perfect.
This is fine. This will work for my example too. So the CEO of Apollo, that's funny that that's the first person they have you pull up. But so when I'm browsing on LinkedIn, I can utilize a lot of the tools that I have in Apollo. I can just decide to immediately send him an email. I guess they give me his for free. But if I'm looking at a contact and I don't have their information, I can go and grab their email right from here, or I can go and grab their headquarters information right from here.
Oh, I see.
And
So what's happening on the right-hand
tool.
side is it's mirroring, it's somehow pulling what information has in Apollo about the guy?
It is, yeah. And so I can link this back. I can decide to save him as a contact. I can go ahead and immediately send that information over to, one of their integrated CRMs. So if you're using a strategy where you're looking for people on LinkedIn and you want easy access to their email and other pieces of information, this would be a really good way to do that. Yeah. So here, let me look up you on here too.
It's what's happening off to the right is they'll actually give you the information. Yeah.
Yep. So here, I'll pull you up on here. So I don't have you as a saved contact within Apollo because I'm not going to be selling to you, but so here's the, I can save your contact. I can pull up your email right here. I can grab a phone number for your organization, and it gives me a little blurb too about it as well. And if I save that contact, it'll save it into a list right on Apollo.
Interesting.
Another thing that is useful.
You'd have to go through. Go through.
It's right here. And the other toolbar that I had pulled up, it's basically a more complicated version of this little thing I have right here. But I don't know if you noticed that earlier that I closed out. I don't use that one. I just use the quick one here.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to search San Antonio. Okay. And just see what comes up. So, all right, here's people, showing people. I'm not going to go through and refine this search because I'm assuming people know how to refine a LinkedIn search. But these right here, these aren't normally on LinkedIn. This is being added in by Apollo. So I can request their email address right from here. I can request their phone number right from here and save them right from here into Apollo. So some people it doesn't have the information for, but some it does. So the Apollo extension adds a tool on top of LinkedIn for me to utilize.
And then if you put them in Apollo, does it pull? So are they pulling the phone numbers and all that from LinkedIn in this process?
No. So it's just using LinkedIn as a way for me to prospect and adding the Apollo tools on top of it.
I see.
To save it in there.
Off to the right are Apollo functionality, not LinkedIn.
These down right here, yeah. So the message piece of it, that's normal, but the little envelope phone here and then the save button, that's Apollo. Adding that on top of it.
What does it save then? Just the phone numbers and all that stuff?
Sorry, what? Oh no, it's gonna save all the information they have on them. So it'll pull company information too. So where the company headquarters is, how many people they have, what industry, everything, all the same information. This is just a different way of finding it.
So in other words, you can go through LinkedIn, find the people you want, and then fundamentally it creates the equivalent of an Apollo record in Apollo for that company, for the person. Yeah.
So here, this person is the owner of this law firm. If I go here and click save, okay, it'll pull them up now. So I have a verified email for them. I have the ability to start adding them to lists, the ability to sequence. So I'm going to go and click view contact, and I'm going to pull them up in Apollo. So here's a profile for that person.
Wow, that's great.
I can request a mobile number if I'd like. I have the email. I have their corporate line. If I'm sending out those automated emails like I was telling you about, it'll track all that information. So it'll track this person's their open rate, how long they've been looking at those emails, how many they've replied to, how many you've sent. It keeps track of all that.
It's pretty impressive, actually.
So and like I was telling you, the different technologies that firm uses. Okay, so now I can look at that. So they're using, Adobe Marketing Cloud, Datadog, some other things I'm not aware of. But if your firm had a lot of clients, right, that was supporting, right, if we were supporting clients on
Yeah, a good example
on
might
whatever
be
the state of
Cisco,
dog is.
yeah,
Yeah.
Cisco or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, or if we saw Cisco on here, and okay,
Mm.
that's a, that gives you a little bit of information when you're approaching them to use a premise that way. The other thing too, right? If I got this person through Apollo and I didn't have their LinkedIn yet, okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead here and click LinkedIn, and now it'll bring me back to their LinkedIn.
So you can connect or whatever.
So it works both ways, yeah. Or if I wanted to, quickly look at their organization's LinkedIn. So Civil Matters. Okay, let me click on the organization's LinkedIn. It'll pull that up here. So it looks like they're very small and they don't have a LinkedIn page, unfortunately.
But
sometimes
I mean, a good function of that would be is if you're looking for almost like a voicemail content, right? Or something more personalized to that person. You could,
or like your company website right there. So Apollo, not only is it giving you all of those contacts, it's giving you easily accessible information all in one place, and tools to easily move between the different platforms that you're using for gathering information and contacting them. So that's essentially my quick overview of Apollo.
That's perfect. Oh no, that's awesome, dude.
And what I've shown is pretty much why I love it. The pricing makes sense for the amount of contacts and tools that you get.
So could you do me one last favor, Josh? Could you go to, what is it, apollo.io?
Yeah, maybe Apollo should hire me. I don't know. Kidding.
You should get a commission from it.
Yeah, commission for selling it to other people. So.
And go through your pricing thing?
Yeah, so this is what it looks like when you show up on here. I don't remember where the pricing is. Let me.
There's a pricing pull.
Oh, right at the top there. Yeah. So these are the different pricing models. Free. Wow. You can access a couple of different contacts, and you can still email people. So if you wanted to try it out, that's a good option. Basic gives you quite a few tools, but as I was telling you, the annoying thing is how much it limits you and how many contacts you can select to export. Because at no point am I only going to try and export 25 contacts at a time. I need to be able to select more than that. So
I honestly, it's pretty reasonable compared to some of the other options.
So that's why I went with this license, because yes, it has a dialer, call recordings, customizable reports, all these other things. But the thing that I wanted is select 1,000 records at a time. And that feature alone, it would take me a significant amount of time to make up for not having that feature.
And it's 1,000, select 1,000. When you say contacts, is the way you do it is select 1,000 companies, right?
So yeah, companies, contact, records. Sorry,
records.
It says records. So
it does limit you 1,000. Okay.
Yeah.
You had said something about 1,000 and 10,000. Was I not remembering that correctly? You could select 1,000 and export 10,000.
The 10,000 is their custom package that I guess you can piecemeal if you go above the professional license. The 10,000 is the amount of total exports that we have per month.
Per month, right? Yeah. So you could select 1,000 companies, right?
Yeah, and I'm never going to hit that. I don't think I'm ever going to hit 10,000 in 1 month. But the basic was just that the difference between the two didn't make sense. So I'm like, okay, I just have to go with this one for that, selecting that amount. I'm not sure is the total specifics. But the point being is, out of all the different platforms that I was researching, Apollo had the best pricing and the greatest amount of contacts. So the value is there. The other one I was looking at was ZoomInfo, which was I think the only one that was really comparable to Apollo. But ZoomInfo is
I think it's like, I want to say
upwards of 10,000 a year or something.
Yeah, I was going to say 10 or 15,000 a year versus 1,200, right?
Yeah, so the pricing is crazy. And the additional maybe 20 contacts within a market, that wasn't, I'll take the $100 a month and I'll find those 20 other contacts on LinkedIn or something. But yeah, Apollo, that's the value that I find in it.
Oh, that's awesome, man. So I appreciate your time. And I appreciate everybody getting to know you. And I don't know if I've told you this, but Ryan Eichler is going to form up a little group of all the BDEs, so you'll be able to meet your colleagues and compatriots. And
Oh, cool.
Run that for us. So get some cross learning, so people can pay you back for teaching them about Apollo.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna do is record this and send it to everybody. And
okay. I know it was kind of rambly, so
no,
if you have any specific questions, or if anyone else has any specific questions that I can answer about the platform, I'd be happy to give a couple of pointers or something. Obviously, I'm not a representative for them or anything like that, and their support staff is pretty, I don't know, on top of it, so you can email them too. But
because I tell you, like,
strategy-wise, I'm happy to.
A couple things that are just as closing, I think, is one is people, I think in general, we underestimate the foundational importance of this, which you just went through, right? Because everything starts with, who's my targets, how can I get high quality outreach information for them? How can I blend email and LinkedIn? I mean, this is fundamental to doing really good business development. And I think two is, trust, like I said, remember Ryan using this and you using this, and your confirmation of the quality, I think, is important. And I think the confirmation of the coverage is important, because like 115 law firms in San Antonio is pretty good.
And that was just under those select parameters. There would be more if you were accepting potential prospects under 10 people on staff or over that 200 amount. But yeah, the quality's there, and all the information's there too. So it's just super easy to use. Any other questions I can answer for you?
None for me.
Okay.
But I will include your email address in the distribution of this presentation, and so if you start hearing from a whole bunch of crazy people, it's because of this.
Yeah. Sounds good. Well, I'm open to making connections, and the difference here is, right, the process, like how you implement the platform into your process.
Yeah.
So what do you do with those contacts when you grab them, and what sort of parameters are you using, and how do you make sure that you're getting the right use out of it? So, and all of that comes from just using it and figuring out what makes sense for the market that you're looking at.
Perfect, man. Thank you for your time. We look forward to continued working relationship with you. And again, thanks for running through this. And it sounds like it has the support or testimonial of both Josh and Ryan, which is good enough for me.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to share. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.